I'm author Debra Parmley, and I'd like to welcome you to Coffee Break with GoIndieNow. I'm a multi-genre writer, so I write all sorts of things. I write romance, and the subgenres of romance that I write are historical. I started off writing Western historical romance, gritty westerns with damsel in distress. And I'm most known today for writing military romantic suspense. So I write contemporary and historical. I have a 1920s series, which I've always wanted to write in that era, and now that I'm indie, I'm able to do that. Each book is about a different flapper, and I have written fairy tale romance and Christmas romance and paranormal romance and fantasy romance. I don't have all the books out yet because I have so many started and I need to finish them all and get them out there. It might be easier to say what I don't write, but I also write poetry and creative nonfiction and nonfiction. I've freelanced for magazines. Cover model corner interviews are carried by Affaire Decor magazine. I'm a Gemini, and Geminis will never be satisfied with just doing one thing. Frequently we juggle lots of things, and it makes me happy to write lots of things. So that's a little bit about me. One thing I love about being an indie artist that surprised me is how wonderful it feels to be able to have creative control and to be able to put out a quality product for my readers, one that I'm happy with, that I believe they'll be happy with. Take covers, for instance. I'm able to control what kind of cover goes on my books with my indie press and with the other indie presses I am with. Cover art goes in trends, and for a while there was a trend of the headless heroes and heroines on covers. I will never forget walking into a bookstore and going into the romance section, and all of these headless covers were everywhere. And I thought, wow, this is like a bookstore for headless horsemen. Everywhere I looked, they were missing their heads. Off with their heads! That stuck with me, and then when one of my publishers put my next book out with a headless heroine, I thought, oh no, I can't even like my own cover now. And that really sucked. But now I have the control and I get to choose my covers. I've also been able to start putting my books into audio, which wasn't possible when the rights were tied up, and there's just so much more that I can do now with the creative control that I couldn't do before. I trust my readers, and they're intelligent. They're real good at picking up on things that they see that sometimes I don't even see. And I've got a bachelor's in English Lit, so I'm no stranger to analyzing books, but it's different when you're writing your own. I feel that if there is an element in my work which my readers are not picking up on, then I didn't do my job of getting it across. Our pages have to speak for themselves. I'm a 3-time alumni of the Antioch Writers Workshop, and I was trained there in how to critique and be critiqued professionally. We weren't allowed to speak when our work was being critiqued. We had to listen. Listening is an art that isn't always taught, but this was an invaluable experience. We were not allowed to speak. We could not explain. We could not contribute anything additional to the reader's experience. The pages had to do the work. The other half of professional critique is the listening, but I want to speak primarily here about that first half and not veer off into the listening part. When a reader picks up one of my books, the book is the only way to communicate the story. And that's as it should be. It's how it's always been. A good solid feel for and understanding of that can help an author write a stronger story. It's one of the things I teach when I work with newer authors. If we make the page strong enough, then the readers will pay attention to the things we want them to pay attention to. Let's say you're watching a play, and there are two story people on the stage who are talking to each other, so the dialogue is drawing focus. And theater folks will understand this, movie folks will understand this. What draws focus? That's the question to ask in your book or in anything you write. What draws focus? Let's say the two characters are talking and onto the stage walks a cleaning lady, and she has her hair tied with rags, and she's pushing a pail and a mop. She stops, she mops a little bit, she puts the mop back in the bucket, she moves. She stops, she mops a little bit, she puts the pail back in the bucket, she moves. She hasn't said a thing, but she can draw focus. And she can draw focus away from dialogue. Now let's say that that cleaning lady is wearing purple sequin shoes. We don't know why she's wearing purple sequin shoes. The people talking don't say anything about the cleaning lady. And it's not explained. Now you have a story question. Why is the lady wearing purple sequin shoes? This is why we need to be aware of every little thing that we put on the page. What we put on the page and what we don't put on the page are equally important. And hopefully, when I do my job right and put the things on the page that I want my readers to see, that's what will draw focus. That's what they'll pull away from there. If they see something extra or find something extra, well, that's good too. And it can be a lot of fun to hear back from readers when they do discover something that you didn't see yourself. At least it's fun for me. This answer could really depend so much on what we measure success as. And there are measures of success with each step of the writer's journey. Everything from finishing your first book and typing the end to hitting the Amazon bestseller list in the top 10 in your book category. And I've had each of those at least once. So for me, answering this question, I have to look at what's been present each time I've reached one of those goals. One of the biggest things is drive. I'm driven to succeed. When you have drive, you don't give up. The thought of anything but driving toward my goal is inconceivable. My husband will say I have tunnel vision, and it's true, and that's one way to put it. But I like to think of it this way. Our son has a border collie named Chaos, and I think I'm a lot like a border collie, with that intense focus and drive. The word quit isn't anywhere near me. A border collie has that intensity, and not only will they herd animals, they'll herd people. His border collie is named Chaos, and he likes to herd us when the family's together. So I'm a little bit like a border collie. I can't imagine anything that would stop me from driving toward my goal other than death. I plan to write for the rest of my life. And I love to write. If I go too many days without writing, I start to get cranky. It's usually by day 4, and my husband will say, "You need to write, don't you?" And my answer to that is, yes, it would be best for everyone if I did write. So I would have to say that drive was the most important thing in my toolbox to helping me achieve success. Drive pulls along hard work with it, and a lot of people will say hard work is what gets it. But hard work won't sustain you on a day if you lose your drive. And having it drive and intensity will. At least for me it will. So my answer has to be drive. I am absolutely driven to succeed. Fear. Wow. Fear is a big one. You know, fear can be an interesting thing, and it can be a sneaky thing. For me, fear is a sneaky thing that hides behind procrastination. If I examine why I'm procrastinating in any area of my life, usually fear is behind that. So asking the question, what is the worst thing that could happen, helps me move past it. And then I have to get tough with myself, and I say, get it in gear, Buttercup. It's time to do this thing now. Keyword being now. With fear, the only way past it is through it. I find that's true of most fears. The only way out is through. So, that's why I say, get it in gear. Let's do this thing now. Way back when I was in high school, I was so shy that one of the girls in the class ahead of me said to my boyfriend, "Does she even know how to talk?" Well, that helped a whole lot. And then when I was in a high school musical, South Pacific, I was on stage singing and dancing on opening night, but no sound was coming out. It was a good thing I didn't have a solo. So I know what it is to be very shy. I can remember meeting Vincent Price when I was an awkward teenager and how kind he was to me. I hope to be kind like Vincent Price was. And I keep that in mind when I meet my fans. Often when a fan approaches me, they're feeling shy and they might not know what to say. So I try to put them at ease. The thing is, we're all just people. No matter what our level of success is, we're all just people. And I think if we'd just be kind to each other, that would go a long way. I write stories with happy ever after endings because that's the kind of world I wish I lived in. And you'll also hear me say, every day we are alive is a beautiful day. If I did nothing more than spread that message and lift someone's spirits each day, I'd be a very happy woman. Well, I am a very happy woman, and I do that frequently. So I am wishing you a beautiful day. Where can you find me on the internet? Oh, lots of places. The trick is, if you Google my name, to spell it correctly. So I'll spell it for you. DebraParmley. And you can find me at DebraParmley.com and on Facebook. I have a Debra's Beautiful Dreamers Facebook group. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram. On YouTube, I have a Beautiful Day YouTube channel. You can find my author page on Amazon and on BookBub. I have Pinterest. I'm probably leaving something out, but once you put my name in, everything will come up. So I hope you do find me and say hello, because I really do like to hear from you. And saying hello makes my day more than I can say.